Hello, welcome back to our subject, Contemporary World. And we are still in chapter 2, which is all about the global economy. So we are done in the introduction, economic globalization and global trade, economic globalization and sustainable development, environmental degradation, food security, economic globalization, poverty and inequality, and the global income inequality. And for today's lesson, we are targeting to finish these two topics, which are the third world and the global south and the global city. Okay, let's start with the third world and the global south. So you probably hear the word first world problem. So when when someone cracks the screen on their phone or gets the wrong order at the coffee shop and then goes on to their social media accounts, you might see their complaints with a hashtag first world problem. So what are the implications of talking about countries as first or third? Where did these terms come from? So these terms are outdated and inaccurate ways of talking about global stratifications. So now, so how then we are going to talk about social stratifications? Well, let's see. Okay, let's start with the third world and the global south. Let us begin by deconstructing the idea of the first, second, and third world hierarchy by looking at their origins and their implications. Okay, so let's start. The terms date back to the Cold War when Western policymakers began talking about the world as three distinct political and economic blocks, and that's according to Tomlinson, year 2003. So Western capitalist countries were labeled as the first world. So ang mga example aning Western capitalist countries are Hong Kong, Singapore, Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, United Kingdom, and Canada. Muna sila ang mga example sa Western capitalist countries were labeled as the first world. Next, the Soviet Union and its allies were termed the Second War. So the Soviet Union, officially the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, was a socialist state that spanned most of Europe and Asia during its existence from 1922 to 1991. And it was nominally a federal union of multiple national republics. Next is everyone else was grouped into third world. So the third world countries, which started as just a vague catch-all term for non-alliance countries. Again, ang third republic, ang third world was term for non-alliance countries, while ang first world associated with rich and industrial countries, ang kaning first world, okay? Again ha, ang first world, mao sila associated with rich and industrial countries. While ang kaning third world was termed for non-alliance countries. And ang kaning second world, kaning Soviet Union, mano sila ang it was nominally a federal union of multiple national republics. Okay? So atong tanawon ang map. So the third world and the global south. So ang kaning mga green colors, green colors. Ang kaning mga green mo ni sila ang mga first world. Mo ni sila dire. Okay? Ang kaning yellow, mo ni siya ang second world. Ang red, na red din hiya, din po niya part and mas daghan din hiya. And belong ta sa third world. Okay? Narang Philippines. Oh, Philippines. Okay? So people often use the term third world. Again ha, belong to sa third world kaya nata sa red. So people often use the term third world as shorthand for poor or developing nations. And tinuod man po, developing pabayata. By contrast, wealthier countries such as the United States and the nations of Western Europe are described as being part of the first world. So kanidin hiya mga first world ni sila. Kani. Okay ha, mga wealthier countries ni sila. Where did where did this distinction come from? And why do we rarely hear about the second world? Why do we rarely hear about the second world? It is the Union Soviet Socialist Republic. Kaya mo na sila ang mga second world republic. Again na, mga second world republic, manas lang ang mga socialist state that spanned most of Europe and Asia during the existence of year 1922 to 1991. And the second world was nominally a federal union of multiple national republic. Okay? And to do this or to identify, mana sila ha, mo ni ang legend. Ang green, first world, yellow, second world, and red, third world. And the Philippines belongs to third world. Next, the gross domestic product or GDP, man sila ang mag-measures the total output of a country. And the gross national income or the GNI, which measures the gross domestic product per capita. In other words, the differences between the global and north, the global north, ito sa nang i-discuss. The terms global north and global south are a way for countries in south to make a stand about the common issues, problems, and even causes in order to have equality all throughout the world. In other words, the differences between the global north and the global south are shaped by migration and globalization. Mana sila ang differences between the terms global north and global south. Next, nevertheless, the economic differences between the wealthy global north and the poor global south have always possessed a racial character. And that's according to Winant year 2001, page 131. Okay? And that's the end of our discussion in the third world and the global south. And now let's proceed to the global city. So global city mo ni sila ang the rural or urban differentiation has a significant relationship to globalization. Okay? So last slide na siguro ni siya. Globalization has deeply altered north or south relations in agriculture. And also a global city is also called as a power city or a world city. Pwede po siya matawag nga Alpha City or a world center. Mo na siya ang global city. And according to Scoluser, year 2005 pointed out that as commercial agriculture replaces local provisioning, the relations of social production are also altered. Rural economies are exposed to low prices and mass migration. And a global city is a city that has the power to affect global issues and change the global outlook. And they can do this through lahi-lahi nga set of systems from politics to military and economics by controlling and adapting the route the global economy task. And that's the end of our global city discussion. The end. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you learned something new today. And if wala man, please do research and do rewatch again this pre-recorded video. Again, thank you so much. Keep safe, everyone, and God bless us all.